Okay, so when I was really thinking about what I wanted to do, like in years past, we've had like mid-year reviews that have been 3 hours long. And I know those are helpful, but here's the thing, nobody goes back and listens to those. So I really wanted to find a way to serve and help you come to a concise space of, this is where I'm at, this is what was good, this is what needs to be changed. I had the opportunity to change it. Let's get moving. And we'll definitely be answering questions that you have about planning from this point forward. And if you're a Thinking, Feeling, Willing member, we'll be back to office hours on the 8th of, so we won't have office hours this Friday, but we'll have office hours on the 8th and back to our regular schedule. But I really wanted you to have an opportunity to not just be thinking about school, school, school all the time, because yes, that's the purpose of sort of what we're doing, but it's also so much more. And you're so much more than a school teacher. You're so much more than a mom that homeschools. You have so many other facets to you in your life. And so I want to make sure you take time to stop and honor that, and take time to stop and look at good things that happened in your life. And even with this year, if I hear another person go, "Oh, this unprecedented, horrible year," I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But we got to move forward. Let's stop energizing the year. Let's just quit energizing 2020 and let's dive into what we want. We spent a lot of time in 2020 talking about what we don't want, myself included. I'm done. You should be done too. You should be done and ready to walk forward. The more we talk about what we don't want, the more we're going to see what we don't want. So let's think about what we do want and where we want to go. And yes, we're going to do some reviewing, because it's always good to review, but I'm not going to review the icky parts of 2020. We're going to do some just some self-reflecting. So let me turn off all of my notifications. How do I do that on this new? Sorry, you guys. Hey Siri, turn off my notifications. Oh no, she's gonna make me do it myself. There we go. Do not disturb. Okay, I don't know if that's gonna work. She and I are not always in agreement. So, all right, let's get started. So get comfortable. Everybody should have, again, either your journal or pen and paper, something so that you can do some reflecting on. So let's just start with some nice cleansing breaths. So take a deep breath in, let it out. This next one, take it in and let's hold it for 5. Let it out. Move your neck around if you need to. Loosen your shoulders up. Those places where you carry tension in your body, work to just relax them. If it's your lower back, sit back in your chair. If it's your neck, do a few neck rolls. And take another deep breath in. So I want you to just keep your eyes closed for a few minutes. And I want you to think about this year. And I want you to call to mind, and it does not have to do with school, just in general, what thing or things, maybe there's lots of things. And if there's lots of things, then pick 3. Did you really love from this year? That made you either laugh out loud, feel good to be a parent, feel good about all of your strivings. Like, what things did you really love? Your parenting, your partnering, your relationships, you just being you. Maybe you've made some strides in some areas that you didn't think you would. So just sit with that for a minute. Get those things really clear in your head. See those experiences. Like, see them crystal clear, and it's stuff that you love. So I should be able to look across the sea of cameras and see lots of smiles because you're thinking about things that you love. Things that you love. Okay, open your eyes and take the next 15, 20 seconds, 30 seconds to write those things down, either in your journal or on that piece of paper. Write them down as vividly as you can so that you can look back at this in a week and go, oh, yeah, that's what I loved. So, no shorthand here. Take the time to write it out. If you have to make some quick notes so that you remember later, take those last few seconds to do that. And then go back to closing your eyes. Okay, so now we've had some happy in there. Just take a minute. We're not going to take nearly as long on this because it's easy to wallow, but just take a minute to think about things that you could have done without this year. Um, and they don't have to necessarily have to do with externals like elections and pandemics. Maybe there were some things in your life that you wished that you could have done better at this year, or some experiences that you could wish that you could have risen to the occasion differently for. Doesn't necessarily have to be what everybody else is thinking in the world. So just take a minute to just bring that to your mind. And often, people don't do this part, and this part is that piece of having humility and accountability and knowing, hey, that wasn't great. It wasn't cool that either I did that or that I experienced that. But this is how I'm going to change that next time. This is how I'm going to rise to the occasion differently. So that part's really important to always do. So once you have that pretty vividly in your mind, open your eyes and write it down. Write it down. Take the next few seconds and just write it down. Okay, finish that piece up. All right, back to closing your eyes for just a few minutes. Almost done with this part. So now I want you to focus on school, on your lessons that you've done so far this year. If you're new to Waldorf Essentials and you just started in the last month or last week, um, even if you're not, like come to a space where you can just bring school to the forefront of your mind. And I want you to again think about things you loved about the first semester. What maybe they were certain lessons that you did, maybe they were experiences that you had with your child, maybe they were planning experiences. Sometimes the experiences of school for me don't have anything to do with my kid. They have to do with how I planned and those sorts of things. So take a few seconds and really think about those spaces of what did you really love about school in first semester. And if you live in the Southern Hemisphere and you're moving into your first semester, I invite you to think about what you loved in your last semester of school. So let's take a minute or so to think about that. Okay, write it down. Write it down. And I think this one is really important, especially as we're talking about planning. Write down that thing that you loved. And again, if it was something that surrounded a particular lesson, what was it about that lesson that was so great? Did you show up in a great way? Did you have it planned out really well? Maybe you didn't have it planned out at all. I always think it's funny when moms are like, "It was actually that one that I just pulled out of my butt that just was like great." And then they think that that's how they should do all their lessons. No, it's not. There were other pieces that came into play there. So what about that space did you love? And what were the elements that made it so magical? So just take a few seconds to write that down. Maybe we're just feeling really great that day and it came together, or what were the elements? And then as you finish that up, let's take some time to think about what you could have done without. Like what things happened. So again, go back to your space of closing your eyes and getting still and call to mind either something that happened that you could have done without, or an action or something that you are wishing or hoping goes better, wishing didn't happen or hoping goes better this next time around. So take a few seconds to just really bring that to your mind so that you can really see it. Now let's just take a few seconds to write it down. Write down those things. What were the things that you could have done without? Okay. All right. Now let's dive in. I invite you to continue to revisit these things. Continue to reflect on the good, reflect on the things that you wish you had done better. And with that, let's take that into sort of this next stage in schooling. So if you're following along with us, this is from the mid-year review from Planning for Peace. And it's simple. It's not rocket science. That's why I invited everybody. Because I think it's important to always evaluate. So I evaluate several times a year. I evaluate when before I start my planning, so that I can sort of think about where we're at, because this is the child I'm planning for then, so I should know where I'm at and where they are. I evaluate in the middle of the year, and I tend to evaluate at the end of the year. So sometimes that planning piece and that end of the year evaluation, they overlap a bit, because I'm planning before the year is definitely over. So this mid-year one tends to be my favorite one to do, because it ends up being the most accurate about my child right now. So I want you to take a minute and think about your children. We're only going to go through one child right now. So if you've got several children like me, I got a brood. So let's just go through one child while we're in this meeting together, and then we'll take some time and talk about any questions you have about planning, and then you can come back and sort of do your other children later. So with your first child, just write down their name, their age. I like to write down not just the year, but how many months we're at the middle of the year, just so that you have a good, accurate account. And for those of you using Planning for Peace, I keep mine. Like, I keep all of my Planning for Peace journals so that I can go back and look, not just at the lessons that I did to make my life easier, but to look at how far my child has come. So I can see sort of what things they were struggling with and what things have gotten better, or maybe that there's been a regression, and I'm trying to sort out where that came from and what happened. So you really want to be able to have that have that in mind when you're working through this right now. So that first question, where are we? So take just a few minutes to write down where you are. So for myself, right now, the child that is still being homeschooled is Soraya. She's 9.5, and a little bit more than 9.5, 9 and 8 months. And where I am with her is, this is what I'm going to be writing down. I'm going to write down that her reading is like beyond my wildest dreams, taking off. I'm going to write down her interests right now, so that I remember, when I look back, I can remember and I can see how far she's grown. Which for her right now, it's all about dinosaurs and those silly axolotl lizards. I guess they're not lizards, salamanders. Anyway, so I'm writing down current obsessions. Writing down the fact that she tends to get obsessed. There's like some ADHD stuff going on for sure. I'm going to be writing down the supplements that she's on right now, so that I can sort of track that piece over time. Like what supplements is she taking right now, and how are they being delivered, frequency, so that I remember, because here's the thing, the mind forgets all the time. So writing it down is super helpful. So just take a few minutes to sort of write down where you are. And, I will also write down lesson blocks that we didn't get to, or maybe lessons, not blocks, but lessons that we didn't get to. And that I wanted, like, there was 3 days of lessons that we didn't finish before the holiday. So now I have this choice. Do I just scrap them, or do I pick them back up and finish them? In my case, there have been times that I've scrapped them, depending on what they are, but it's the 10 Commandments. I kind of need to do it. So I can't just scrap it. So I have to then readjust my planning. And that, if you've got planning days set aside for this holiday, I highly recommend doing this piece first, this evaluation piece first. and then you can do your planning. So I have my planning day scheduled for Thursday. And maybe I'll be live for some of it. I don't know. So take a few minutes to write down where you are. Okay, so finish that up. And then the next question just is, what things give me encouragement or cause me concern at this point in the school year? So take a few minutes to write those things down. And maybe there's nothing that causes you concern, which is great. Or maybe there's 5 things that cause you concern. So write those things down. You don't have to solve them right now. Just write them down. Often we're carrying them all in our head and on our heart. And it really helps to write them down, because then they're not so big. That's one piece of it. And also that then we can deal with them once they're written down. So things that might give you pause, write them down. Maybe your child's doing great academically, but they're not sleeping well. Or maybe, they're sleeping and eating well and they're getting plenty of movement, but there's some struggles with math. Write those things down and allow it to just be. And once it's written down, then you have an opportunity to do something about it. And sometimes what's funny, what's funny to me is the things I write down are not things that I may have voiced before. Like they might be something that was hiding there in the recesses of my brain. And then writing it down made me then completely change the course of some of the things that I was doing. So, just take that time. Okay, so finish that up. And again, people often ask me, so what do you do with this? Again, take this into your planning. So if you've got planning time set aside today or later this week, take this into your planning, sit and study it. If you've got more than one child, do the same thing for the other children, so that you've got all of those pieces together, and you've got it in one spot and you can refer to it often or as needed. So now let's open the floor for questions. Questions. Anybody got questions? Go ahead and put them in the chat. I'm going to take this off of speaker view and back to gallery view so I can see all your faces. So who's got questions? Anybody? Be a nice short meeting. Nobody's got questions.
I have a question, if that's all right.
Absolutely.
So I'm homeschooling my 6-year-old. She's about to be 7 this year. Mm-hmm. And my 4-year-old has been going to preschool. He's 4.5 now. And he's going to be home with us a little bit more longer because of the pandemic and shutdowns. So I'm just looking for some advice on helping him to be successful with us. So my daughter's getting very academic. She's reading, she's doing lots of math. She really, likes to sit and do things with, paper, pencil, art. And my son is like the total opposite. He wants to jump and run and climb, and he's very sensory.
How are you meeting those needs within him right now?
We have a lot of outdoor time. We have our first house that we just bought. So we do spend a lot of time outdoors, a lot of physical play. We do a lot of sensory activities, Play-Doh, kinetic sand, lots of cooking. Are you guys
going on a daily walk? Are you going on a walk every morning?
Not every day, no. That would help.
I would really incorporate that in there. As a mother of 3 sons, my gosh, I pray for you. Just teasing. Whenever I had, you get Christmas cards from people and everything, and I got a Christmas card from this lovely family who I've known since I had no children, and now she has 4 little boys. And I was like, oh, I pray for you. I know what your life is like. It's full of a lot of pee and poop, and yes.
He's extremely
Craziness.
strong-minded. I do
I
everything
love my
myself.
sons, and I love that energy, but
Yes,
goodness, you have to keep up with it. So
it's
I would
hard.
start every day, and some girls are like that too. Like my youngest was definitely like that. I would say you want to start your day with a walk, like,
Okay.
and it's got to happen. So you've got to have your morning rhythm has to be in a good place
Yeah.
so that then you can meet them.
Okay.
So, for me, that means I get up at 5. Our day can start at 8 because my kids are a bit older. But if yours are getting up earlier, then you've got to adjust your meditation and exercise time so that it happens before they're up.
Early. Okay.
Yeah. And that way, I mean, unless you're exercising later in the day but you want to be able to have that time that's just you so that you get to be Jamie by yourself and nobody's touching you and nobody's talking to you, and you can then greet the day with a smile
Yeah.
and you can be ready for them. Especially when you have busy children. I mean, I think it's so important anyway, but when you've got busy kids, you cannot underestimate that piece of self-care that you really need. So definitely get up before them, do those pieces in the morning, and then greet him when he's ready for the day, and eat, go on a walk,
Okay.
like in quick succession. Sometimes we go on a walk before we eat, which it depends on where, how the energy is in your home. If people wake up ravenous, of course you can't do that. But if you can, then go on a walk first and then
Okay.
come back and eat. Or eat and then go on a quick walk. Then what it does is it sort of, I like this place of pliable exhaustion. They're too tired to fight you, but not too tired to, like, you're not melting down, falling apart tired. So they're not so bouncy.
Right.
And when they're not in that so bouncy place, then you can do things with him while your daughter does some things on her own, and you can invite him in some ways and not have it be like that energy that takes over everything.
Right.
So and then with keeping him in a good place so that you're not pushing him ahead, because when is he 5?
Not till the end of June.
Okay. So you've got another 6 months of preschool essentially before you're starting kinder. So I would look at we have in the resources section like plans for the 4-year-old,
Oh,
and
okay.
they're just simple plans. They're based on picture books
Yeah.
and topics and themes. And so you could plan your circle to meet them both, but then have story time that's just for him. I don't know if your local library is doing a drop off, like pickup. I
Yeah.
know most libraries are closed, but I would go and make your library list and make that part of your weekly rhythm. Go pick up books, and then that's what you're using in his school for that week. So that way you feel like you're meeting him, and
Mhm.
his doesn't need to be anything major. Story time with you, circle time together as a family. Maybe he's drawing while you're doing work with your older child. That way he doesn't feel like he's left by himself, but you're still getting all of those elements in. But really and truly getting that piece um of wearing him out a little bit will help you so much
Okay.
in the school day. I mean, that's usually when people feel like they're pulling their hair out, it's usually because there has not been enough movement. And tossing them out in the yard is not enough.
No,
They
it's
have
not
to
enough.
have some major, like, moving their body.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, who's next?
Hi, Melissa.
How are you?
Good, good.
I'm
Thank
going
you.
to do Angie and then Lauren. Okay?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, you're good. Go ahead, Angie. Wait, I can't hear you now. Angie, what happened? No, hold on. Let's see. And now it's going to ask me to unmute you. Try again. Something happened. You were great, and then you were gone. You work on that. I'm gonna catch Lauren while she's here. Okay. Okay, Lauren. Let's unmute you. Oops. That was crazy. That's like the don't touch the car door when everybody's trying to lock it situation. Anyway, how
we
are you guys doing?
we're doing okay, thank you.
Good.
We are in a brand new situation. We have a almost 10-year-old and a 7-year-old that we've homeschooled from the beginning, and
Okay.
we are expecting a baby in February. So
Woohoo, fun stuff.
so my husband is here. He's gonna take over soon.
Okay.
And we're just trying to figure out how to have a successful second semester. With
Sure.
the baby coming.
I totally understand. I think that a couple of things come to mind. First, allow yourself to baby moon with your baby and enjoy yourself and enjoy that family space, and don't be super stressed about getting everything done. How fast do you recover from birth?
Well, it's been 8 years since my last birth, so
Listen, I get that too. I understand. I recover, like when people ask me that question, I was like, well, I recovered a lot quicker from Harry and Jacob than I did from Salmon's Rise.
Yeah. My last birth was pretty smooth. So, but that was a long time ago. So, well, I have no idea.
Thankfully, your body knows what to do. Thankfully, your
Yeah.
body knows what to do. And you have a lot of hands on deck. So even though you've got other children, you're going to have plenty of rest time. The reason why I ask that is I think, yes, it's important to, like, let's empower dad to be in that space. But I also think it's really important as a family to enjoy your new baby and to take, 4 weeks if you need to, where everybody's just reading and you're just, sort of breathing out together. Like you created a human, so you should allow yourself to just enjoy that space and allow your children to bond with their new sibling and not feel like it has to be regimented school every day. So I would give yourself whatever feels comfortable, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, to just be in that space. And in that time, plan for your older children to be either reading or read to, so that they feel like they're doing something in it. Because what happens when we plan nothing is it gets all kinds of crazy really fast. Make sure your meals are planned. I think having your meals planned and your rhythm down is more important than school right now. So, dad, I would get the kids up and, get them on a walk every morning so that they're getting that done first thing. Even if you live in, like when I lived in Southeast Idaho and it was 30 degrees below zero for a month, we still walked. Because you have to get that out of them. They have to move their bodies. So if you can be in a good rhythm so that you're going on a walk every day, so that the kids know what to expect, because when they know what to expect, there's less fighting, there's less, dissension in the ranks. So if they know that they're going to get up and have breakfast and go for a walk and then come back and they're going to read for an hour, then they know that's what's going to happen. So you want to sort of lay that foundation so that they understand that piece. And then with regards to planning lessons, you may have to go a little bit longer. Maybe you're still doing school at the end of June because you're taking 4 weeks, or not. Maybe have you done, so you've got a 10-year-old or almost 10-year-old, right? So you're doing 4th grade.
Mhm.
So what lesson blocks do you have left?
So I think we have our second Norse mythology block. We've got I think state geography. We did an incredibly localized geography, which was awesome first semester. But yeah, so we have one more geography block. I
Maybe
think
a Native American block. Have any
I'm
with
not
your local geography block? That's usually when I do it. I usually do it in there.
and I think we kind of covered that in our first one because
Okay.
we live really close to a reservation. So
Oh, very cool.
and then we've got more math. We've got fractions left. So we've done
Okay.
our intro. It's just now it's like really digging in. But
Absolutely. So, those are things that you could have dad do. You could go through, making sure you do a math review every day. So maybe your child is reading for an hour and you're doing some math review. in there just to keep those things fresh. So then when you dive back into that math block, it comes easily. I also would consider, where you have one more Norse block, I would consider having your child read those stories and journal about them and not do main lessons on them. Then you won't have to go into June. You could take that second block and really just play with it, because it's a literature block, so you can, hand that over to having your child read more than doing main lessons on everything.
Okay, that's
and
great.
that'll help shorten things up. Is that helpful? How are you feeling about things, Dad?
Well,
Are you like, oh crap, what have I gotten myself into? Or
there's a little bit of that for sure. I mean, it's kind of magical what she does with the kids, and I'm excited to dabble my feet in that. I think the scary thing is I think I might like it too much and not want to go back to work. So
that's all right. That's all right. Eric teaches half the time. He likes that space too. He loves, once Eric started teaching, he's like, yeah, this is good. I'll do this as many days as you need me to. So that's good. Maybe you've got a new calling. Maybe you'll figure out how to be an entrepreneur and work from home, and then you won't have to worry about leaving them every day.
That would be great.
That would be nice.
Wouldn't that be fun? Well, I'm going to invite you, because you guys are members, right? So I'm going to invite you to come to office hours as often as you need to. And, they happen every Friday, twice a month early, twice a month late. So that way, if you need support during that time, and Lauren will make sure you know what the times are. So that way, if you need support, feel free to come to office hours and ask for help, because that's what we're here for.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you.
But I really think you're going to do great. And also, we do have, thank you, Melanie. She said this in the comments, on January 9th, and we haven't started advertising it yet. We are having a dad's panel as our master class for this month, and it's going to be open to the public. And on our panel is Jack Patrish, is David McCann from Sparkle Stories. So we have some dads from our Seasons of Seven school that are teachers. So we have one of our teachers from South Africa is going to be there. My husband will be on the panel, and we have another homeschooling dad. So that's an opportunity to come and hear what other dads have to say that are in this education realm. Because often Waldorf gets this bad rap of not being strong enough, and so I really want both parents to be able to hear the strength of it. And so keep your eyes open for that. We'll have information about that soon, but it'll be January 9th, I think at 10 a.m. Pacific, I think. So
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Absolutely. Okay, who else? Anybody else have questions? Danielle, did you put something in the comments? You probably did. Let's see. Did I miss anything?
Hi, love.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I meditated the other day. Yeah, like a whole.
Yeah, and did you start here with me? So you did a little meditation here with me this morning. I thought
did.
about you.
I closed my eyes. That was good, and I didn't have anything in my hands. So yeah, so that was good. So I was pretty proud. Good. So my question is, I'm really struggling with circles still. I'm struggling in the sense that I've been doing 2 separate circles for the boys, and our day is just going way too long, and it's just driving me up.
Why don't you just drop the circle bit and do a gathering?
Well, that's what it is, like our gathering. Yeah. So
put together.
I was doing a gathering for Jude and a gathering for Sam, with each having their own specific things in each one. It's
That's
just killing me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's my thing, isn't it? A lot.
I know. But what I also love about you is when you figure out something doesn't work, you stop doing it. So
yeah. So I'm gonna bring circle to, because like Sam's doing his flute, he's doing his knitting. So he'd like go away and do chores while Jude was doing his circle, then come and join us for music and knitting. And these boys, I tell you, they'll knit for an hour if I
Of
let
course,
them.
don't
It's
let
just
them. That's
out of
a
control.
15 minutes.
I know, it's just like, so I think I'm just going to do a circle together. I'm going to do one song, one seasonal verse, like really cutting it back. Seasonal verse, one song, which we based around, because I got Sam a flute teacher and she's doing singing with him too. So we're just going to use her song. And then counting with Jude, which is going to be skip counting because he's about to start quality of numbers. And then maybe I'll start Jude on knitting and then just do a quick times table review with Sam.
Here's what I found. I found in doing all of those things with everybody together, the younger kids get times tables quicker. And they don't have to actually say anything when the beanbag's tossed to them. And it's more fun when there's 3 people.
Okay, so include Jude with it then.
I would.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah, because Sam made a knitting ball. Yeah, and so we throw that like a throwing ball.
Oh, that's great.
Throwing ball. So we throw that back and forth. So I've sorted out his knitting now, all the mistakes that were happening. And so maybe we just toss it to Jude as well. And maybe mouth him the answer or something.
You can, or you can say the answer for him when it comes to him.
Yeah, because I was going to do skip counting. Well, we've been doing skip counting, like we go like 2, 3, 4, like saying it quietly. So, and then this Sam's whittling our rhythm sticks at the moment. So we're going to whittle some rhythm sticks. So we can do that maybe with Jude instead of Sam actually saying the times tables. Maybe we'll just do the rhythm sticks.
Sure.
And that way Jude can.
I think it'll be more fun with with both of them together, the 3 of you together, and I think it will help that sibling rivalry piece that you're struggling with as well.
Yeah. So that's, but Sam's been great, improved on that this week.
Good.
So ever since he's got a whittling knife, he can just hide and whittle. Just goes and hides away and whittles.
Good.
I was a bit concerned, but I bought him a crossbow for Christmas. So I was like, don't point it at your brother.
Don't point it at your brother.
Wooden one. Ever. And so another question I have, is form drawing. So I filled Sam's gaps with his form drawing. Now I'm wondering where to pick him up, basically.
Well, I would pick him up to wherever, because he's in 4th grade, right? So no, sorry.
5th. He's
5th grade. So you're going to be moving into geometry soon.
Well, yeah, so I'm not going to start geometry till next January. So he's still got quite a bit of fractions gaps to fill. We've still got ancient mythologies, and stuff like that, and geography.
So I would look back over his form drawing and pick some that he struggled with and work those back in. And really just sort of keep some of those going. Go over the forms in in the form drawing lesson and make sure that you've got them all, and then add more in. I mean, you can. I like that Painting and Drawing a Waldorf Schools book has some fun ideas for forms.
Yeah, I've got Angela
Don't
Lord's
go overboard.
And I've
that's a good book too.
Just been looking at it, and it's a great book, and it's not got bucket loads in it, which is good. You don't feel overwhelmed.
Right.
So but do we keep doing forms through 5th and 6th?
I
sort of takes over.
Yeah, I start to slow that down unless I find something fantastic from a culture that we are studying, that we want to reproduce. Which that happens, especially when you're studying Islam and old Roman things, and there's some really neat forms there, but otherwise you're not doing it as regularly because geometry sort of takes over.
Yeah. And just another thing with Jude, we've done all the letters, which is great, and the vowels and stuff. And so I did a little experiment. I put together, I think it was pet, and he's like, and he was like prince, elephant, and table, and I'm like, what word does that make? He's like apple. Like,
oh, let's start again.
Oh yeah,
those out. That's okay. That's okay. Everybody starts.
So I'm not gonna start the reading thing yet. I'm just gonna Yeah, I
just
don't know what
continue to
to do.
reinforce what he knows, but I would
Yeah.
start to put some sight words together. If you do, you have the 6 books, the 6 little books from
Yeah,
so start with those. Sam Cat,
Just-
Nat Rat.
just reading them to him.
No, you start with him, 1 page a day.
Okay.
Just get started. And if you haven't done the lesson on reading, writing, and spelling, go do that.
I have done that several times, that lesson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's just like he just doesn't seem to get joining them all together. He gets all the
It takes
sounds, he
time.
knows the sounds, he even knows.
And
Yeah.
I don't know if this is it's like Captain Obvious, but when Soraya said it, I was like, okay. She said, so the sounds make words, and the words make sentences, and they make paragraphs. And I was like, uh-huh. Yes. So we had this whole discussion about how it all works. And so again, it's like duh, but it's stuff that we take for granted. So some children just pick it up really fast and they're like, they work it all out, and other children need you to say it, and other children just need to work that out like verbally themselves. So maybe if you just said it to him, you realize, right, like all of these sounds come together to make a word, and let's just practice with this word: pet, 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 and just keep doing that. Keep doing that, and then bring in all those short vowel sounds in the Sam Cat Nat Rat book. But do not read them to him. Make him figure out what happens, because there is this point in the book where the kids are like, "Oh crap, the cat's gonna eat the rat." Like all my kids have been like, "What's happening here? Why are you making me read this book?" And then of course that doesn't happen. But
because he picked up something the other day and he goes, "Oh, I think it's amazing. I know all of these letters. So now I need to transfer that amazement to joining them together." Because he like I can just do the eurythmy stances for the letters now, and he knows them.
That's great.
Yeah. So now but just trying to get him to put them together as a word. So yeah, I'll get those books.
It'll happen. Just keep practicing.
Yeah. Okay, that was it.
All right. Okie doke.
Thanks.
Yep. I'm gonna grab some comments here. Samantha Riley says, I would like to do mid-year review for my ex-husband, who's very skeptical about homeschooling and coming from a history public school. Only he is used to typical report card. I want to satisfy the norm, but also assess our child properly and honor where she's at. She also has 3 major learning discrepancies: dyslexia, dyscalculia, and dysgraphia. And I want to be able to approach that properly. I do not know where to start. Okay, Samantha, where are you? Did she leave? Oh my goodness. She may have left. I don't see her here. Okay, I'm going to answer that. So hopefully she'll get it on the download. So this is what I would say for anybody in an X situation. Hop on over to Blogspot or Blogger and get yourself a free blog. And then you go into the back end settings and you make your ex-partner the only person, and maybe your lawyer, the only people that can log in and see what's going on that blog. I put all of my main lessons up there. I love it because there's an app. You can do it from your phone. Put all my main lessons up there. At the end of the week, I would say, this is what we did this week. These were the struggles we had. These are the great things that happened. Boom. And it's up there. I did that for a couple of reasons. One, my ex-husband was like, she never tells me what they're doing in school. So I did. And then the judge was like, well, she provided it to you and it looks like you only logged in 2 times. Because what's great is it tells you how many times the other person logs in to look at the stuff. So if you've only got 1 or 2 other people logging in to look at it, then you have an accurate count of when that other parent is looking. So I would do that in anytime you've got an X situation or anybody that you have to report to like that. So that was my report card. And at the end of every lesson block, I would write up this is how we did for this lesson block. These were the challenges. This is what we're still working through, that sort of thing. So I am just putting that out there for anybody else who needs that information. Again, it's Blogger. It's a free blog. It's not anything, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. Mine never was. It was just a simple, quick, like, this is what we did. And I uploaded pictures from my phone. I never even formatted them all. I just uploaded them so that he could see what we had done. And then I wrote out where they each were. That was a really easy way for me to sort of meet that need, because, you know, at the end of the day, they are their other parent, and they have every right to know what's going on with them academically. Now, if it's been a fight, then you definitely want to stand for you having all educational decision making, which is a thing. It's a thing when you go through a divorce. Often one parent gets medical, one parent gets educational. If you're really lucky, you'll get both. Depends on who your lawyer is and how hard you fight for it. But, you know, it was a situation I really had to fight in order to have. So you want to do the best you can to provide the reports or the information to your ex-partner in as non-adversarial way as possible. And I found the blog was great because then I didn't actually have to talk to him. I could just, like, every time a blog post went up, it emailed it to him so he could see it. So I didn't actually have to speak to him and get angry about him and his ornery self. So anybody else who's listening that has that challenge, that's my major suggestion. I also would do this mid-year evaluation, scan it and send it to them so that they know. And if you've got anybody that you're working with for you know, things like dyslexia or anything like that, if you've got other paperwork, scan that, put that up on the blog too, so that everything happens in a way that is easy for you. You don't have to think about it, and then they're not asking you for it. Because I think one of the things that happened to me as an ex-wife is I was like, what in the hell does he need to know that information for? Like, and I'd be irritated at it, like, from the get-go. So if you get to a space where you are just automatically doing it, then it's really easy and it's not a big deal. So let's see here. I'm going to grab other things here. Helen, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm great.
Good.
Long time no see. So
I
let's
know.
see. You're having issues with your son not participating or following instructions in circle time and activities. Right. Is he engaged in circle time?
No,
like, at all?
He just, like, he plops himself on the couch like, I'm bored kind of thing, or he goes and does something else. I mean, so my daughter, who's almost 5, participates. Actually, she participates better than he does in everything I plan, which is which is good in a way, because otherwise I would be even more frustrated that nobody's listening to anything I'm doing. But, you know, I'm like, well, that's not really the point. You're not even supposed to be in circle time, kind of thing.
Right.
But anyway, I do everything I can to include movement, finger play. He doesn't do any of that. I know with him, things happen at different levels, it feels like. So he won't participate in circle time, or I have to threaten that I'm going to put him in public school or something. You know, then I get really angry.
I understand.
Like,
I've been there. Like, I have driven to the building and they're like, oh crap, she's really going to do it this time.
I know.
I've totally been there.
It's terrible.
Not for a while, but I've totally been there. I can remember the day my kids are like, oh, that was a bad day. Yes, it was.
Yeah. So, anyway, on the other hand,
so here's my question. Here's my question really quick, Helen. When you're planning your circle, do you sit down and meditate on what Paul needs?
No.
Start there.
Not really. I mean, not really.
Start there
way.
Because you're asking him to just follow you, but you've got to sit and ask, what does Paul need right now? Maybe he needs something else in circle time. And there's so many ways to reach him. Have you done the lesson on circle time creation?
I have off and on. Yeah. I'm familiar.
We talk about that a little bit in there, like, how to really assess who's in front of you. Like, what would light Paul's fire?
Yeah.
What would light his fire? What would make him super excited to be in circle?
What if I don't find the answer to that? Because, it's about singing and dancing, and even though he
Those are
does
things that he
sing a
doesn't
lot.
love. He doesn't love, right? Like is he phlegmatic?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. When you said he just plops down, that's what made me think of that.
Yeah,
You know, my phlegmatics are not great singers. I mean, they'll
but he
sing,
does
but it
sing. I
has to
mean,
be on their own. It has to be on their own
right?
accord, like because otherwise
Yeah,
it's like pulling a donkey up a hill. It's not any fun.
because he will learn those songs. Because then, during quiet time, he'll sing to himself, and I'm like, so okay, so it
Right.
registers, but
Right.
he doesn't like engage. And so then, I'm depressed because I'm like, all this work that I'm putting into like learning all these songs and putting it together so that it's seasonal,
Sure.
blah blah blah, all this stuff.
So I would cut it back. I would include maybe one seasonal song, one call to circle song. I would consider his temperament in everything you're doing in that circle. So if there are songs about food, include them. If there are songs about being
He's not
comfortable,
into
include them.
food. He's not into food. I know you mentioned that a lot about phlegmatics. He
Not all
just
phlegmatics
doesn't.
are about
He's
food.
not interested.
Okay, so what lights his fire?
Construction sites,
Okay, all right. So
trucks, all that sort of
trucks.
stuff. Yeah.
Sure. So I would include songs in there then that can enliven that piece. And maybe your stories have more to do with like finding ways to pull that in. Like, you know how many times Super Sam found himself a dumpster or a trash truck, like when I was just telling stories to Sam. And that was because like what happens when the trash truck rolls down your street? Y'all, does this happen in your house?
Mm.
Every male child in my house and my husband go and look out the window. The girls could care less in general, but all the boys got to go see what the trash truck is doing. So that's this like inherent like need,
Oh yeah.
and Soraya is a whole different animal. Like hers is all about like hers has been about dinosaurs and so she's very different from even my boys, but it's interesting to me the mechanical nature of most boys. And I'm going to get like hate mail about it. Can't believe, nope. Here's the deal. I have observed thousands of children. I understand thousands of children. And it's just, yes, a generalization, but it's very interesting to me to watch. So, sometimes you'll have like my girls would go and stand at the window and be like, oh yeah, that's really cool. And then they go off and do something else. But there's something there. So dive into what it is. There's something about it being mechanical and that he can, tinker with it and that it, when you do this, then this happens. There's definitely those relationships that he's trying to work out in his mind. Because if he is phlegmatic, he's a deeper thinker. He's thinking about how things work
Yeah,
in a much
for sure.
different way.
But
So
how do I pull that into circle time where you're supposed to be really, it's all about verses and songs? I mean, do I
sure,
just
but
recite?
it doesn't have to always be, I think it's really easy as homeschoolers to get hung up on, oh, well, this is what it would be in this beautifully flowy kindergarten with 30 kids. And in those situations, all those kids bounce off each other. So then all of the temperaments tend to harmonize. But when you have one child in front of you, you really have to focus on what that one child needs. So like in our case, when Soraya was that age, we sang The Wheels on the Bus. And I remember a Waldorf teacher wrote me, she's not a very kind Waldorf teacher, somebody that had seen something that I wrote on social media and said, I can't believe you're using that song. And I said, excuse me, I shouldn't use a song that applies to how we get around because we didn't have a car at the time, how we get around the city every day. It was part of her life. And so it applied. So find things that you're going to have to get maybe a little, deeper on some things. Surely there's songs about cars or trucks, or you can take some of the songs, and pull some things in.
And should I just like pare it down to like just three songs, 4 songs?
Yeah,
or something?
I would not do a lot. And it's going to change as he gets a bit older. As you're
he's
adding
already
other
6 and a
things in.
half. I'm like, I'm worried about
Right?
first grade and how, that's going to translate.
I
That's my
wouldn't, because in
fear.
first grade, you're
No.
going to be doing other things. In first grade, you're going to be doing other things. Yes, you're going to have your circle, your gathering, but you're also going to be bringing your daughter in at that point. So she'll be part of the circle. And then in part of the circle, I bring in our music lesson. And then in part of the circle or that gathering time, I'll bring in our handwork. So we're sort of doing it, it expands. It's not just this piece. Does that
So
make
I'm too
sense?
ambitious. Okay, so I'm basically right now I'm crafting a circle time for my daughter pretty much, because I know she will love it. It's already done basically in 2 years.
Sure. So,
but I should focus. Yeah,
absolutely. But if he's your focus right now, you definitely want to have a few songs to keep her going. But you want to. He's your main focus.
And for activities, this is interesting what you're saying is I feel like I have all these ambitions. Well, I'm always like striving and looking at the curriculum thinking that's what I need to do. And if my kid doesn't do it, then I'm, I feel like
You're a failure.
Failed. Yeah.
No, you're not.
So like for activities, he is doing better. Okay. So, I mean, there is progress, but he also still has a lot of issues following directions and also just being into it, like painting. He does do better with watercolor, but like at the end he has to like empty the paint onto the paper and scribble with the wooden tip and all that stuff, and I know like that's a no-no in Waldorf. And you can't do that because
not only do you not want to do that, you want to be in a space of respect. So there's I have some like that's not allowed to happen. Everybody needs your non-negotiables. So if that's a non-negotiable, then this is a conversation I would have. Paul, you like to paint? Guess what? We're not doing that. Or I'm going to put the paints up for a month and we'll do other things.
I'm not sure he would really be unhappy about that. I mean, he doesn't like actively seek painting, or like if we do Play-Doh, he wants to go and get the cheese grater and grate the Play-Doh and, do all these crazy things that are not like how you typically play. He never typically does something, it always has to be different.
The funny thing about the cheese grater, no, that's okay. That's okay. You got to embrace it. So the cheese grater thing, that's like, did you, and I know you did not grow up in America. So there's this, did y'all remember Play-Doh? Like the Play-Doh factory and the Play-Doh, and you could go and buy the factory pieces and use your own Play-Doh. And there was like a cheese grater, and then there was like a make a hair, like where you make hair for somebody, like all of those things.
Yeah,
kids love that action of seeing what happens. Just because you wouldn't find it in a Waldorf kindergarten doesn't mean you should not be okay with what your son wants to do. You're like, give him a knife, let him grate it up. Like he wants to see what happens when he grades the Play-Doh. Allow it. Allow it.
But then why should I allow that and not allow him to empty the watercolor onto the page and just kind of scribble and all that,
Because
that's where I'm like,
if you're emptying the watercolor, that's like not, one, it's not good for your paintbrush, and two, it's making this gigantic mess in another way. So if he is asking for sensory type play here, there are other ways to meet that. If he wants to, does he when he pours the watercolor on the paper, does he put his hands in it?
No,
he just wants to see the action of it. So find another way for him to have that action in a safe environment without paint.
Yeah, I've done that. I've had him do that outside, actually. Thinking, it's just like, okay, I'll give you paint. You can do whatever you want.
Or
outside.
Take the paint water or something like that, and allow him the space to have that action without it being, without it being part, like ruining what it is that you're doing. So, but make it clear delineation. We're having lesson time with painting, and then when we're done, I'll let you pour the paint water out on a piece of paper outside if that's really what you want to do. Find ways to meet that sensory need. Some kids have like the need to see it finished, and maybe in his mind that's this finishing piece. That's what we do to end it. You could sit and really work to decode what that is, but I like to find ways when possible to meet that sensory need. And if it's a non-negotiable, then it's just a non-negotiable. It's a no. And they'll learn.
So when you said to meditate on the child when planning for circle time, should I do the same thing when looking at activities? Like for
Yeah,
instance, you know, I've
absolutely.
tried to
Yes.
do modeling, this, that, and the other. I try to do it on a weekly rhythm, but should I really just kind of be like, okay, well, this is the ideal, and maybe this is what I'll do with my daughter, but then with my son, I need to look at other things, or
So
what's
you're wanting to meditate to see what it is that he needs right now. And that's going to be a set of answers. The pieces of Waldorf that start in grade 1, they're all built to build the will. So even if I have answers that are outside of what, painting, modeling, or drawing, I will do those things, but we will still do painting, modeling, drawing, knitting, and all of the will building pieces, because those specifically build the will. So it becomes a marrying of each child and what it is that they need right now, like whether it be a sensory experience or a movement experience, like whatever it is that they need to be met right there. But that doesn't mean we don't do those will building things. We still do the will building.
right?
Does
So
that make sense?
So I need to find
And
different times for that.
Well, what I would say is, once you've done the meditation on him and you spend some time really thinking about what he needs, you might find that you can do that with these other things that you've got going. It's just about changing some things around.
And his attention span is so, in some areas it's so long, and in some it's just like minuscule, like finger knitting. He'll be like, yeah, and then he'll be like, done.
But he can do it, right?
He can do it. Yeah, he can do it.
He can do it. So my question is for you, like, do you have things in your life where you're like, yeah, I can phone it in and do it, and things that you really love to do?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we often, it's easy for us to expect things of them, and then when we reflect, we go, oh yeah, that's right, I do that too. Every human does that. So the idea with knitting and handwork is, I've always said, I don't care if you love it, but I just want to make sure you can do it. And why are you making me do this? This is so hard. No, it's not hard, but we can do hard things. Let's keep going. And it's a skill for life that I'd like for you to have. And we spend so much time in our culture like placating children and having them do only what they want to do, and it breeds imbalance, and we don't want that. We want them to be balanced. So that Waldorf piece, that will building piece, is building up that balance and helping them to balance that out. So it's okay to do things that they don't like, but I also really work on, what does the child in front of me need?
Right.
And
but if it's something they don't like, it's okay if it doesn't last like an entire half hour or something, right? I mean, I don't need to just like be like, no, you have to continue doing this, and until you finish the whole chain or whatever.
No, I try to set proper expectations with handwork, especially. So for my kids that really resisted handwork, if we could get through a row a day, all the way through with that, and this would be I would say, if we can get all the way through the row and you're not fussing, then you can be done. But you got to get through all the way through the row. And here's the deal: this is where you really talk to them about choice and accountability. You get to choose how much you complain about it, and you get to choose how long it takes. I just gave you the assignment. You get to choose the rest of it. Allow them to see that they have choice and accountability in everything.
Okay. All right. Well, this is giving you good things to reflect upon. I'll probably come back to office hours and discuss that further. But thank you. Really, it kind of validates some fuzzy things that were going on in the back of my head. So, all right, great. Thank you, Melisa.
Good. You are so welcome, dear.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Carrie Hayward. Trying to unmute you. And then I'll come back to you, Angie. How are you? You said how to get children more interested in finishing a lesson he doesn't like or walking away. Sorry, I have to put my reading glasses on.
My son is 12 years. I have twins, 12 years,
Right.
5 months, in different places. One I am totally homeschooling. The other one is kind of doing some online things with the school system.
Mhm.
Um, anyway, I started out with, a good plan, but plans don't always work the way you
Okay, you
want them.
readjust the plan. Let's readjust the plan. That's what we're doing. Readjusting the plan.
Well, and it's like, okay, so I have a unit on birds that I wanted to finish, and it's like, and I just said, our goal is to finish this, and then it's just not seeming to happen. It's like every time we work on it, it's, I get resistance.
So let me ask you about that. So your lessons are completely planned out.
Well, the way I plan them, not as good as you would like, probably.
Well, the reason why I say that, and it's not about me and what I would like, it's about what children need. Like, children will rise when they know that you planned it out. When they don't, when they know that you haven't, then they're like, I'm going to pick at her. It's just kids. It's in very few instances do you not have a child like that. Like, you might have, I have 5 children. I have one child who'd be like, okay, mom, I'll be as patient as you need me to be. The rest of them are like, come on, lady, can't believe you don't have your crap together. So you want to like look at your child, like, what is it that this child needs? This child needs you to have it planned out completely to the nines, and so that you know exactly what it is that you're doing, then that's what you do. Because if that's why you're not getting the follow through, often the follow through from a child starts with us. They see our follow through, and if they don't think that we're going to follow through, guess what? They don't think it's necessary. So I would look at your lessons that you're trying to finish, and it's, how many lessons are left? 3, 4, 10?
Like 5, 5 or 6.
All right, 5. So your child is 12. I would have a meeting of the minds and say, listen, there are 5 lessons left here. We're going to do 1 today, 1 tomorrow, 1 the next day. We're going to get all 5 of them done. Today's Monday. We're going to have them all done by Friday. Here's my commitment to you. My commitment is that I will show up every day and we will get the lessons finished. Your commitment to me is that you're going to do them, and we're not going to do anything fun until it happens. So let's get it done. And also, try to make it engaging. Like, are you bird watching? Is it just a nature study on birds? Like, what is it? Because, I think I promise I'm not trying to pick on you. I'm just saying, for me, I would not do any sort of unit on anything that we couldn't observe either through literature or seeing it.
No, you know what? I mean, we have part of it included like listening to the birds. We have birds to watch. We've tried to go out and do birds, but okay, let's go out and just even sit in our yard. We have lots of things to observe. We have the bird feeder that we filled. But then it's like, when it's like, okay, it's like, it lasts for 2 minutes. And then it's like, I'm going to come back inside. I don't want to do this.
So do you lay an expectation? Do you lay an expectation? Like, we're going to, so I go, I'm sorry that you think it's stupid. We're going to sit out here for 5 minutes, but lay the expectation. Lay the expectation. We're going outside and we're going to sit for 5 minutes and we're going to listen to the birds. And in part of that meeting of the minds that you have with your child, I would say, listen, we can have a good time with this, or it can really suck and not be fun at all. But if we can work on this together, because that's schooling, you're like in a partnership, you're coupled up in schooling, we can do it in a fun way, or we can do it a hard way. Like, this is going to get done.
Well, and I think that's the part. It's like, I give, that there is that choice part of it, but I feel like this will part is the willing part is
lacking.
Is not in the norm. I don't feel like my kid's in the normal range. I mean, I'm the
What
one.
temperament do you think your child is? Sounds phlegmatic. Just telling you.
I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't.
Have you spent some time studying temperament?
Enough, just a little bit. I think I'm melancholy, but something
Yeah,
else.
yeah. I
Um,
think you are, and you're getting your feelings really hurt because your child does not want to play ball.
okay, so he told me, because it was Thanksgiving, you know, Christmas, it was like, okay, I'm just going to set the lessons aside. Today we're going to do, we're going to work in the kitchen. We need to make some recipes. You're my assistant and we're doing math, and here's the recipe and we have to double it. And he had to do fractions, and he told
Mhm.
his dad that was the best math lesson he ever had.
That's great.
But it's like, I can't make that. So we have, I can't make that everything, right?
Right, but like, let's go back to your bird experience. So, do you know for sure that the birds you're studying you're going to find in your yard?
Yes. I mean, we have,
Okay.
like, we were working on the crow was one of them. We have crows that nest nearby. We listen to a lecture. We have a couple books, you know.
Yeah, don't go overboard. Remember, like, it sounds like you're doing some Charlotte Mason stuff, which is great. But one of the things that I'd like to share with all my Charlotte Mason families is you're not trying to create a college degree
Yes.
in what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
We're just giving a taste. You want him to still want to know about birds later. So I would instead say, hey, so we've watched a documentary on crows. Your job today, here's the binoculars, go out and spend 30 minutes observing crows and then come in and write about it. Period. End of discussion. Then you're done. You step away and you've given it all to him. And so sorry, sir, there will be no TV or video games until that's finished.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have a workbook that we were working through that, you know, it was like labeling the part of a bird, and then it was like, I was supposed to just introduce, there was
So
like,
but workbooks are kind of dead. So what if instead you had him draw a bird and label what he saw?
yes, that would work.
Or instead you hopped on YouTube and you found a video how to draw a crow.
Okay.
Listen, I was on there drawing camels yesterday or something I was doing. How to draw a camel. Found it like that. So you want to get, he's older. I would never suggest this for an 8 or 9-year-old, but he's 12. So, you definitely want to meet them in a different way. And anytime I want to use a resource that's like a workbook, it always falls flat. Always. So if I want to use the resource because I think the lessons in there are good, I always recreate them in their main lesson book.
Okay.
Because then it gives them more ownership over it. Like a workbook, they're like, yeah, wait, whatever. But their main lesson book that they've spent time on, there'll be a little bit more ownership over it.
Okay. So just, my embarrassment here, is
That's
there
okay.
a lesson in the Thinking, Feeling Well, and where do I find main lesson book planning? I do it, but it never, yeah. I am,
Well, planning for peace is all about
yeah.
laying out those main lessons.
Okay.
So that's each piece of your lessons that, for let's just say 6th grades, that's a main lesson. So, you put those pieces in a main lesson book, and a main lesson book can be a sketchbook, it can be an actual main lesson book. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Like, it's just about putting that, you're stepping away from the worksheet model and stepping into the possibility that happens when you have ownership over drawing it and writing it without lines and all of those things on your own.
Okay. So one of our successes was we did a unit, like we read a bunch of fables and then we painted them all, right? And that went over well.
Okay.
And we rewrote them in our own words. Yeah. So that was
That's good. That's a success. So tell me, let me just ask, what is your hesitance in stepping into the Waldorf curriculum? The reason why I'm asking is because a 12-year-old should not be doing fables. Even though your child has got some other things going on, your 12-year-old needs conquering stories.
you know what? And I started with the Romans and we started reading the stories and I just couldn't seem to get him interested. I don't know. I just, because I think the other twin was there, we were just, it was kind of at his reading level where we were, I was just trying to catch up a little bit.
Sure. No, it's
where I
okay. It's
felt
okay.
like it was something where it was something I felt I could conquer, I guess. So,
well, and it sounds like you had a great experience with it. I want to give you permission to do the harder things with him, because even though his reading level is lower, there are many things that you can accomplish without reading with regards to the Romans. You know, we talk about, we recommend Engineering an Empire, which is a great series. Tell me he's not going to get interested in that. I mean, Engineering an Empire is anything but boring.
so that's the
And
name of
there's no, it's the name of a series. It's on the History Channel, or I think they have them on YouTube. Engineering an Empire. There's Engineering an Empire Rome. There's Egypt, Greece. There's probably 10
okay.
that I recommend for middle school and high school.
Okay.
They are they're hosted by Peter Weller, who played RoboCop in the 80s, and he went back and got a history degree because he loved history so much, and then they put him in charge of that show. So
Okay.
it's engaging. He's a great storyteller. You could utilize some of those pieces, and then you come together and you talk about in more in depth, and oh look, we're going to build an aqueduct together. When we did grade 6 with Super Sam, we built an aqueduct out of you know, the model stuff that you buy at the craft store. Do things that are experiential. That's what he's asking you for. If he had a lot of fun baking with you, he wants to do things that are fun.
Okay.
Is there a place where you could go? I can think of like 4 places in San Diego where you could go and see taxidermied birds.
Yeah, with the Caleb's sporting goods store has them.
Oh yeah, like Cabela's. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go there
Yeah.
and do your bird search there. Then you're
Okay.
up close.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I had some stuff planned for Rome. I bought, we went to Rome 2 years ago and it was,
Oh, fun.
and so we were gonna get out all of our pictures and, we had some aqueducts and I bought
So what stopped you?
It's just, I think I started it and I couldn't get him interested in what I was doing. So my lesson plan must not have been good because I couldn't get him engaged at all. So
again, when you laid out your lessons, did you sit and meditate on what he needs? Yeah, that's such an important piece. If I could get y'all to do anything, it would be that. Like ask your child's spirit, what do you need from me? How do you need this material? Because they still need the material, but it's all in delivery. You know, I've done the Romans block, 4 times now. And each child has been incredibly different, depending on who they were and what they needed.
okay.
One child, we focused a lot on art because she was very much into art. One child everything had to be experiential. Another child was like, they were all different. One child just wanted to read about it. Like, they're all different. So they need the material, but how you bring it is that key piece. In a Waldorf classroom, the teacher has to do things for all the children there. So they have to, balance this one over here and then do this over here. But at home, you have the opportunity to bring everything the way your child needs.
Mm-hmm.
It's a gift, a huge gift.
Mm-hmm.
But when we go off and we just plan things the way we want to, and we don't stop and think, okay, what does my child need?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you need to do.
But okay. So, but how do you build in things the will, okay, so I'm just going to segue into.
It's okay. You're good.
So I bought this book. And so it says in 6th grade to stop painting and then do charcoal drawing, but we never have done painting until this year.
Yeah. So I would do some painting. I would do a block on painting.
Okay.
And then go into charcoal. Painting?
Do a whole block.
Well,
on-
not separate from, so I'm saying like for a whole month in the afternoon after your main lessons, paint.
Oh,
So it's
Okay.
separate from your morning lesson,
okay. Okay.
you know, where you're just painting together. Not every day, maybe twice a week.
Okay.
And you're working on technique and you're working on how the paint moves and you're giving him that experience.
Okay.
Then absolutely move into doing some charcoal drawings.
Okay.
Why don't you guys like pick up Rome and do some charcoal drawings on aqueducts,
Okay. Okay.
you know?
Okay. And then so I'm
It's okay.
handwork. So like I didn't know how
Start
to
at the
knit.
beginning. Uh-huh.
I'm teaching myself how to knit. I've been working on it for a couple of months. And I'm terrified to figure out how to introduce it to them. Both my boys do not cross the midline, and I know that everybody says that knitting can help this.
Oh yeah, knitting will help cross the midline a lot. A lot. So I would start with some brain gym,
Okay.
you know,
I know what brain gym
do a little
is.
brain gym stuff. Huh?
I
You don't know what brain?
is.
Yeah, okay. So do a little brain gym activities and then work knitting. I would work on them separately because especially if they both have some challenges. And you know, I had 2 kids with challenges. I used to teach co-op knitting. Oh man, 20 kids, 4 of them have struggles. Yes, not fun. So, you know, I think it's a good idea to teach them both separately.
Okay.
But you want to be confident in that, you know, I would spend a week before you work with them, casting on, casting off for yourself. Like do run through in your head how the lesson's going to go. Start
Okay.
with finger knitting. Make sure that they know that action.
I've never finger knitted, so I supposed to YouTube that
Just a
then.
slip knot. Yeah.
Oh, just
slip
like a
knot.
crochet line, a crochet.
Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that's what you call
And you
finger.
can do, and you can all do, I mean, they call it finger knitting, they call it finger crochet. You can do hand knitting where they, you know, you weave it around your fingers and, you know, make a tube out of your hand. Those are all skills that we do before we put them on the needles.
Okay. Okay. So
And you
maybe
might even consider
today.
making your own knitting needles because then that makes them even more invested. Let them pick out their own yarn, dye your own yarn. Like there are things you can do that really help them be invested in that process.
Okay. Okay. And I've been
Breathe deep.
Yeah, I've been charting my schedule, right?
Your rhythm. Mm-hmm.
My rhythm. Yes. And I need to talk with my doctor again because I'm waking up every day at 3 a.m. No doesn't matter
That's
what
pretty
I do.
normal. How old are you?
57.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty normal. Like,
Yeah, but I can't go back to sleep, and then it screws up
then
the
go to
day.
bed at 8. Go to bed at 8 or 9.
Yeah, I could go to bed at
9's
night.
probably not enough. You gotta go to bed at 8. You're gonna be waking up like that. So when you wake up, is it anxiety? Is it just that you're up for the day? Your kids are 12. Could you take a nap in the afternoon?
My youngest kids are 12. I wake up worried about this
Everything.
yeah, everything. My
So you're
other
not meditating?
my other kids are back east. They're in college. They are on their own, but you know, they can't come home for Christmas. Yeah.
Right. So you've got a lot of worries. I'm going to guarantee you that if you start meditating, that's going to get better.
Yeah.
Dr. Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, such a good audiobook.
Okay. Maybe put the
I mean,
name of that book in the chat and I'll look it up.
absolutely. Absolutely. We do that, Jen.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think that it's such a good space to be. And when you like can take a hold of what's going on up here, like all these thoughts, if that's why you're waking up because your mind is full, let's work on getting your mind a little more empty so
Yeah,
that
I
you can
don't
breathe.
have any problem falling asleep, but I can't stay asleep.
Can't stay asleep. Yeah. Yeah. Sounds like you've got some stress going on.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. You're so welcome. Come to office hours more. All right. Let's see. Want to make sure I don't miss too many. Did Samantha ever come back? I don't think so. Making sure I didn't miss anything.
Hi, Melissa.
Hello, who's talking to me? Oh, there you are.
I've
Sorry,
been
you're
very
good. Go ahead.
I'm nearly missing my turn. You must be ready for a drink.
No. I'm going through all of the messages here. So
Oh, I need to toughen up if I need to ask a question.
no, it's okay. It's okay. How are you doing?
All right, thank you. I've got 3 boys. I'm from England. I've emailed you a few times, and I'm absolutely useless at getting involved with this community and not helping myself. So my concern is my eldest boy, Reed, who's 10 on Valentine's Day. My other 2 are 6.5 and 8.5. And with my eldest, I started him in September. So in England, I sort of started him right for his age, but with personal problems of my own. I ran late, and then I told myself, right, I'll start him from January. So we started him January on his 3rd grade, which is coming towards the end of, but he's still got like, as you call it in America, a semester left. He's still got a term left of that. And we've moved house. We've had a lot of stuff going on, a lot of upheaval. So I've sort of run late again with that. And I feel as though I'm not doing it, any justice. He's getting the short straw out of the 3 of them. And really, I need to be planning for my grade 4. It's like I'm holding him back, and it's my own problem, not his. And I'm scared of starting grade 4, which really should be ready to do like January. But by the time I finish the last block, it's going to be just after his 10th birthday. So my question is, what's the deadline to me really making him run late, nearly dropping him back a year, which I don't need to do, but also I'm conscious of, I don't want to start grade 4 when I feel as though I've not done him justice on grade 3. There's a few things that he's absolutely on track with, but there's quite a bit that he's not.
Sure.
And it's my issues, not his. So I've got
so take a deep breath. So much. Take a deep breath and repeat after me. I plan to save guilt for sin.
I plan to save guilt for sin.
Get over it, Rachel. Like, seriously, it's not your child's fault. So I would look at what needs to happen from grade 3. And the things that I would focus on not missing would be math.
Yeah.
And you want to have those Old Testament stories in there. So I would either buy the Jacob Straight books or download the ones that you can get from Waldorf Library and just have him read them.
Yeah, we've got one more book to read, but I'd like to read them all again because it's spread out a bit far. We love the books and he's doing really well with his maths, but I just need to brush up on things. I just feel as though I need to go over a few things and make sure he's really learned and embodied it all, if that makes sense. And I don't want to start being disorganized.
So no, I understand. Did you do a farming block in grade 3?
We have. I don't use your curriculum. I use one that's all planned out, an English-based one, but I'm that temperament that until I was to buy one of your curriculums and learn that, I'm probably one that I would like to be inspired by both and combine them. I don't know. I'm just guessing that's my
right. And this is what I'm going to tell you, though. Even though it's your temperament, Rachel, I'm going to say this with all the love in my heart. You have to stop that because you're not doing your child a service.
Yeah.
Stop it. Pick one and stick to it.
You sound like my partner.
Like now.
Yeah. I know that's what
This is what I hear from you is like, yes, I want to do this and this, but I feel so guilty because I'm not doing any of it. So it'd be one thing if you had 4 different resources and you were kicking ass and doing it all, but you're not.
Yeah, no.
So let's pare it down to 1 and follow it to the letter until you get your feet under you and you go, okay, this feels good. I've been doing this. We're doing lessons productively. I feel like we're back on track. Now I can add in something else. But when we spend time like more and more and more and more and more, it's just more. It's just more. And it's not giving you what you need. So things to work on for yourself. I'm going to ask you a really tough question. You don't have to answer right now, but I'm going to put it in your brain and plant a seed so that you can start thinking about it. Why are you not enough?
I think
Just
I
hold
just
on
lack,
to it.
yeah, lack
No,
confidence.
I don't think it has. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but that's a deep piece of inner work. If you don't feel like you're enough, you're constantly seeking something more.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
And I'll be
one
that.
thing to get things all the way completed and go, oh, well, I could use another resource for this. But when you don't feel like you're enough because you don't think you have the confidence doesn't come from hopping ship. Confidence comes from studying what's in front of you.
Yeah, and I haven't even studied the curriculum, and it's beautiful. There's so much loveliness in it, but I've kind of got this perfection side to me, but I don't even do it to do it, if you know what I mean. So
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying I'm just calling BS on it, because there's something deeper that has nothing to do with your child, Waldorf, or anything. It has to do with something that's inside Rachel. So as you heal that, the rest will heal itself. But you have to heal that piece. There is something that motivates you to do what you're doing, which is, the jumping from here to here to here. So there's something within you that motivates you. There's either something from your childhood or your past that you need to heal, but there is a reason why you are not okay with having certainty. That you need to have variety all the time. And so it either came from your childhood or past trauma. You have to decide, hey, you know what? I'm a grown-ass woman. Now I'm swearing, y'all. Sorry. I'm a grown-ass woman, and I can choose to settle down. I can choose to do what my child needs. I can choose to have peace in my home.
Yeah. So
it's a choice we get to make. Like, we get to choose it. And, as children, I hear my children all the time go, I can't wait to be a grown-up. I'm like, no, because then you have to make all the choices. It's not that we just get to make them. We have to make them. So really step back and ask yourself, what has to happen in order for you to finish up grade 3? And honestly, I would say, give yourself 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's it. Make a clean break. If you want to start grade 4 in the month of your son's birthday, then I would give yourself 2 weeks to finish. By January 15th, you're done. And from the 15th to the 31st, you are planning grade 4.
Yeah.
And that means you have to read the whole curriculum.
Yeah. So
and take it all in.
Yeah. So you're saying, if I was to buy your curriculum right now, it'd just make me even more skittish. Stick with the one I've got, plan it, and use your planning for peace, which I still haven't done properly, and plan properly for the curriculum that I'm using. Then when I'm on track, then I could consider looking at yours, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I am pretty biased because I think our curriculum is pretty awesome. I think our grade 4 especially I love grade 4. But if you've got a curriculum resource, I'm not going to tell you to come and buy ours unless you hate what you're using. So, but definitely you have planning for peace, use it. Yeah. Absolutely use it and do all the pieces.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what I'm using. I think it's because I haven't studied it all enough, or Steiner's work in general. And I think it's laid out day to day. It's all done for you. And because I'm homeschooling 3 boys, that doesn't work. So what I'm inspired and drawn to you by is how you look at the overall picture and how you talk a lot about balancing 3 kids. So I feel as though there's a lot of goodness in your curriculum that I'd really connect with, but it would probably just sozzle my head even more. I'd probably buy your curriculum.
It's up to you. I mean, it's on sale right now, 30% off till the end of the month. Yeah. So, I think,
I don't know.
And, we are revising this year, and anybody who owns it will have access to the revisions. So, I mean, it is.
No, it's helped is what you said. My partner says it, and I know it, but I just think I needed a female approach. That's not, I just needed a bit of woman power to talk to me, because when my partner tells me something, sometimes I don't want to him.
I understand.
Hey,
I understand.
Melissa, Can I just pop in and say something? I've been wanting to say something.
Melanie.
So I see myself in Rachel where I was 3 years ago. Bouncing everywhere, and so I'll introduce myself real quick. I'm one of Melissa's
coach,
leaders,
and she's our director at the school.
I'm also director at Seasons of Seven, but I like see myself in you where I was 3 years ago, so much so that I like couldn't hold it in anymore. Again, if you have something you love, go ahead and use it. But I would consider buying Melissa's curriculum because it's the only one out there that when I finally chose to use it properly, it didn't feel hollow. It felt like I was doing what I needed to do for myself and my child, and it felt good and wholesome. It really felt like I was feeding us as a family instead of just checking boxes.
Yeah.
So I think the reason I kept hopping around was, oh, this looks great. Let me see how that feels. And then it starts off feeling good. And then again, it falls short and it feels hollow and it doesn't really fill us.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. So maybe I should just buy it and read it, and if not, then I know either way, because I will probably stop, this little voice won't stop chirping in my head, but I know what Melissa says, I've got to just get one and focus on it, because I know it would be really good if I used the one I did better and added bits to it, researched it more and added my own essence to it. I think that's the thing. I know I can add more value to it, but yeah, thank you for that. That's really helpful, both of you. Thank you.
But what I wanted to say is, well, those curriculums that have everything laid out, they seem like a good idea. But when you start doing it, it's almost like you're doing a paint by numbers instead of creating something. And it never feels good when you're done.
Yeah, like, as though you could have done it better. And because I'm not planning ahead, it's like, why didn't I plan this better and just read it even a few weeks before would have even been better. But that makes sense. Yeah.
So that's just I just see myself 3 years ago sitting there, and I just wanted to give you that advice that, if you can afford it, don't be afraid to jump in. If you want to stick with what you've got, then go ahead and do that. But I really think if your searching is about the same thing that mine was like, you want it to feel like it's hitting right and that you've really gotten to the meat of it, then I don't think something that's completely laid out for you, like say this, draw this, sing this.
Yeah.
I don't think it can fill that void.
Yeah, no, I'll buy it. And I need to come to the Friday weekly meetings, because just doing this, you feel part of something, and I feel so alone. I've got 3 boys. We just moved to Scotland and it's absolutely perfect with the forest behind us. I couldn't wish for a better place. So I feel so blessed and lucky, but I've just got to get my backside in gear. And as you say, Melissa, I've got to show up. So thank you.
Show up. Absolutely. And come to office hours. I mean, twice a month, the office hours will be at a time that will be okay for you. So absolutely. Thank you, Melanie, for that. Thank you. Melanie and I have had those conversations about things feeling hollow. And I do think that that's a big part of it. If you're not taking it in and making it your own, even though we lay it out, we want you to understand. We want you to study. That's what the whole front end of the curriculum is about. It's about that study piece. So, definitely, if it feels better to come and grab ours and get started, then do that. But I definitely think you've just got to dig in and give yourself permission to dig in and not feel like you can only dabble, because when we dabble, we don't get very far. And with your sanguine nature, it will build your will to dig in and stay connected.
Yeah.
It will help you.
Thank you.
It will help you a lot. You're welcome. Okay, so I'm going to grab Angie's. Angie, do you want to try again?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Oh, now I can hear you.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, another sanguine here. My issue is I've been doing this since the beginning, so 7 years or so. I've got an 11-year-old son in grade 5 and a coming up to 5-year-old we've been doing kindergarten life, but and it's all going well, except for now I'm doing my planning for the next 6 months, because I'm very good about doing all that stuff, and I feel like I've lost my passion for the stories or something, in the sense that I have been normally for the last 7 years I've been really good about reading and getting the story sorted and all the props and everything, just like you teach us. But then now I am not doing it. I've noticed in the last sort of 6 weeks, well, this Christmas month, I actively took off because I was getting frustrated. But the kind of leading up to that, I was flying by the seat of my pants a bit because I'd come to the end of all my props that I'd prepared in the summer. And normally I'm about 3 or 4 weeks ahead of myself. So I don't get to that point. But then I got to that point. So now I was sitting there.
Not a fun place to be.
No, it's horrid. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to kind of get back into that. But then I kind of do the stories, and I find we do better. I do better if I tell the stories rather than just reading them,
Right.
because I tend to be able to be a bit more responsive to timing. Otherwise, if I read the whole thing, sometimes it takes longer, and I don't know. But if I tell the stories, it works better. So it does mean more work for me. But I tried just read them, and I got bored reading them the next day. So I'd read them the night before, and then the next day when I was actually reading them again properly, I'd get bored. And this is me coming through on.
So which
it's not
stories
my
are we talking about?
education, it's
First
my
grade? Are we talking
no,
about first
fifth.
grade?
No, fifth
grade.
grade. So I've been doing. I do my own. I also tried years ago, having a spine curriculum and doing my own thing, and that didn't work. So what I ended up doing over the years, I've created my own curriculum effectively. So I'm using Kovacs books, stories as my kind of spine, and I'm just kind of for ancient history and the India stories. They just didn't. I've just done. Well, November was when I did my last proper block. I kind of just couldn't make them come alive. I didn't know. I didn't want to know what I'm doing. Now I'm going in January. Now I'm going to be doing geometry second block, and then February is going to be my Persia and Mesopotamia, and then after the break, I'm going to do Egypt as well. But so I want to kind of prepare ahead for that. Geometry I'm okay with, but it's just I can't seem to get excited, or I've lost some passion. I don't know what it is, and I'm doing exactly. I feel myself going down that slippery sanguine slope of, okay, well, Kovac's not going to work for me. I'll try someone else. I'll try this. I'll try that.
Right.
And
No,
I know
Kovacs
that doesn't
always
work.
works.
Yeah. So it's like.
So one of the things that I would say is by the time they get to fifth grade, I'm not pre-reading everything for them and then telling them the story. Often I'm just handing them Kovacs.
Yeah, just a little thing. My son he was a late reader, and he's only just got confident with reading.
Okay.
So maybe in the next few months, I'll be able to pass him the level of Kovac. But he's at the level now of, I would say, he'd probably be able to read the de Allaire's books on Norse mythology, which was from last time, but he wasn't able to from fourth grade. But that level he'd be able to. But Kovacs is actually quite sophisticated language here and there. So I'm still doing that. And so I've been telling the story rather than reading it.
Okay.
But I kind of I lost my planning, and now I'm kind of going back to this. I'm reading. I'm just going to read it, but that just didn't work. It was horrible. It says that I found I was bored with the second reading of it, and then it just came through my lack of passion.
Have you spent some time sort of meditating on why you're bored with it?
Yeah.
And what comes to you?
Okay.
What comes to, like, if you've spent time meditating on it, what comes to you? Like what answers do you get?
I meditated on what's happening on the not doing it, and it was just I meditated on the why am I trying to find different things? What just emptied it, and I got the answer of it's just this is boring. Going to do it again, and it's I guess it's the deadness of the reading of it the second time.
Okay.
For me,
so
but it's not my education. And my son seems okay.
Right.
My mojo.
I was trying to think of how to work you through that. Like as a cleric, I would just get over it. So there has to be like a way to feed your sanguineness so that you want to stick with it. and so that you can, be looking forward to it. I think, what other things do you have going on in your life that are exciting?
Well, kindergarten, I enjoy that. So we're ramping up now because my 5-year-old is going to be 5 in January, and we've sort of started a bit of a light, and I've got a 2-day thing a week that's going really nicely. So I do a lot of puppetry.
Even aside from school,
stuff.
Do you have things that keep you excited aside from school?
I music. I play the piano, and I
So are you doing enough of those things? Are you doing enough of those things to help feed that part of you so that when you have to do something that's a little bit boring, you can just get over it and do it?
Probably not. No.
Maybe
Yeah.
focus on that a little bit this week. Like, I know for myself, if I don't, like, I love to have time by myself to do art. And, whether it be painting or, whatever it is. So if I'm not actively doing that, I find that everything suffers.
Okay.
So there are other pieces within, that I have to do then that I'm like push up against. So if I nourish myself and I keep myself in a good place, then it's easy for me to do those things that might seem a little bit like, don't really want to do this, but I'm doing it anyway. Because then it allows you to put your heart back into things. But if you are neglecting Angie, then Angie is going to want to neglect other things.
That makes total sense. It really does. And I'm just thinking the timing of it all. All my stuff I was doing stopped in about September, October, because my husband had some surgery and stuff, and I haven't picked it up again. That makes sense. And it's correlated with that sort of time.
So I would go
Yeah.
back and I would get started. I would get started on something like today, as soon as you're done here.
Yeah.
Just go. I mean, I told my children on Christmas Eve, I don't care what y'all need. I have baked. Everything's ready for tomorrow. I am spending the whole day painting. They were like, okay, sure. Because I planned it. I put it as part of my plan, and I made everybody aware of it. So that way it was, it was part of my rhythm. So it's got to be part of what you do.
Yeah. And
so I'm just going to prescribe some self-care, taking care of yourself, and really, and self-care is more, y'all, than just meditating. It's more than getting a shower without anybody touching you. It's more, it's doing the things you love. That make you excited about life.
No, that's perfect, actually. Thank you.
I would do that and then get back to your planning, because then you'll have renewed ice for your plan.
Yeah. Thank you.
I hope that helps. You're welcome.
Okay.
Welcome. Glad you came today.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Did I miss anybody? Heather. Where are you? You want to talk about teenagers? How you doing, lady?
Hi. I'd be good if I didn't have these teenagers.
Guess what? They become adult children, and they're needier as adult children than they ever were as little teenagers. And
oh, yeah, I hope so. Yeah, well, I think I'm kind of going through the grief, and I think I might have mentioned that in the past, of the teenager, because just the pulling away.
Bittersweet.
Yes, and I think the saddest thing is that my 14-year-old was so he cared about things. He used to put effort into stuff. He wanted it to look good. He wanted to feel good about it. And he's at a stage now where he just doesn't care about anything.
He's a teenager. Like, I don't give a crap. Yeah.
It's just so disheartening, because it's like, well, how did that just change? And, and then of course trying to look at, okay, what did I do?
Well, I think there's a few things right now. Like, I think I'm seeing things more polarized because our kids are in the situation they're in. I mean, this COVID nonsense is hard for us. It's really hard for them.
Yes.
It's really hard for them. Even if you've got a situation where you're still getting together with friends, this is hard for them. And so, like, there's almost a mourning process that we have to allow them to go through, because I know teenagers everywhere are depressed, like everywhere. And I'm seeing it, I'm hearing from parents every day that their children are really struggling. And that's really the shame in all of this. And so I feel like if you can come to that space of understanding, does he still talk to you? Will he still talk to you? And
Well, not as much as he used to.
that's
He
normal.
seems to want to just cover. He wants to cover up all feelings. You know, he used to talk to me. I mean, we'd spend lots of time. But now it's like everything's okay, everything's cool, everything's fine, Mom. And that's been a struggle because it's like I'm not dumb. Like I'm in my mid 40s. I've seen this. I understand what this is. So,
Do you
but I
pray with
think it's-
him? Do you pray with just him? Like one of the things I do with my kids when they become teenagers is when we pray together as a family, but then I go and I pray with that one child, just us. And
Yeah,
sometimes I pray and sometimes they pray.
Yeah, he has told me that is not his thing anymore and that he doesn't believe in any of that stuff. And I even said, well, let's call it meditating. Let's call it.
Super Sam meditates twice a day, morning and evening.
Like let's do some inward thinking.
There's some great, Dr. Joe Dispenza has some teenager meditations on his website.
Yeah, so, you know, he I think, of course, he looks at me like I'm just wacko, but, you know, because I think that's the age too. It's like, oh, what do you know? And stuff. But he's sweet and he's loving and he's affectionate and he still wants hugs and he still wants comfort. And he still needs, I see that. It's just, like I said, I know it's definitely the COVID keeping him from things. And he is not doing homeschool anymore. He is in high school, but that's virtual, at least most of the time. And he decided we'd ask him about school because that kind of virtual school keeps you so separate from your kid. You really don't know what they're doing and what's going on. So you put a lot of trust into him. Well, he didn't do work for like a whole month practically. So then his grades went down to pretty much like 10s. And that was I was just brokenhearted about that. But
is there something else going on, Heather?
There's
something else, just like, okay, so I'm gonna just ask, some of you need to put some headphones on or excuse little children. Is there a porn issue?
There's definitely video game addiction issues.
No, the reason why I'm asking about the other is the other will cause depression in teenage boys. I mean, it causes depression in anybody, but it's this unobtainable, like the conversation I usually have is like, that's not what sex is really like, right? Like, and so the space where they can't be around other people their age in person, and then they have more access to the internet than normal.
Yes.
If you're not checking the search history and the browser history every week, then you need to start.
Well, I have tried and I have done. And my husband, he knows how to figure that out. So I think I'll just ask him to do more of that.
I would ask your husband to check the browser history every week. And if your son knows how to do incognito browsing, then you definitely want to have controls on your modem. Your modem most modems are smart modems today. You can put in keywords, you can put in key websites. PornTube should be one of those search terms. And be open about it. Be open about it. And then work on. I want my kids to enjoy life. But I also want them to have good habits. And so, there is a space of, you should just let them do what they want to do. I don't. We have family time and it's family time. And we come together for all of our meals and we have hard discussions and we read scriptures together and we do things that are important to us as a family. So this teenager space becomes an opportunity for us as adults to go, okay, wait a minute, what do I believe again? Like, what do I want this child to leave home with? And really ask yourself, like, what struggles are there, and what is it that you're seeing, and how can you course correct?
Yeah.
It's not a picnic. Teenagers are hard.
No, it's hard, and well, he's my first one, so I think that's it's a huge learning curve. But and he has ADHD and things like that, so he's struggled for a long time.
So he needs
socially.
meditation. I mean, he totally needs meditation. It will help him. I'm going to highly recommend you hop on Dr. Joe Dispenza's site and look at there's ones for youth. There's a morning and evening one for youth. They're not very long. I think they're like 15 minutes a piece.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps them. It's then words that aren't coming from you.
Yeah.
They're coming from Dr. Joe. And Dr. Joe helps them really get into, like, how do you want to show up? What do you want to make happen in your life? Like what? And they're new. They're since COVID. So I think he's done a lot of things in response to, like, how do I meet teenagers where they are right now? Because Sam will do a long one with me, but this one, like, is really good at, like, getting him into that space of finding where's Sam's space. Like, what does he want? You know?
Yeah, and I was wanting to talk to him about even just his vision of what he wants to see happen, with what he can do, or what does he, I don't know, like his motto or something about who he is. And because he's very sweet and he's good to his friends, and he cares about if they're going through personal troubles. He tries to counsel them and everything like that. But I just don't think he checks in to himself, or if he does, it just seems like he would rather just say it's not a big deal or it's not a problem than really want to deal with it. So the meditation might, if I can convince him that it's not, just hokey.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it depends on, like, how you view it too. Like, if you think it's hokey, then it's going to be hokey. They're going to think that.
Been very private about that stuff. So, I mean, I'll do it, but it's not like I'm like, okay, everybody, let's, because my husband wouldn't participate. So I've kind of just winged it on my own a lot.
Sure.
And then
so maybe it's time to look at it differently, Heather. I meditate with my children all the time.
Yeah. So I've kind of just have, not made that a family thing, which is on me. But that's just because, I'm shy. Shy about that stuff. But so yes, I definitely need to, because I worry about him. I want him to, keep counting down the years of, oh, he's only got this much longer and I only have this much time to make sure he's confident in who he is and happy enough, to make good decisions and all. But so yeah, the 7-year-old and the 4-year-old, those are, it's like vacation.
Yeah. Very easy peasy.
It's like, oh, this is so great, and they think I'm great, and if
they love you and they think you're amazing, and you'll get back to that space with your 14-year-old. It's just going to take some concentrated time.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, overall, we've been doing okay. I mean, he's kind of doing his own thing, which keeps him out of, doing things with me, with homeschooling and the other kids. So I think that makes him feel sometimes more separate. And it makes them also feel like he's more separate than they are, and then he has his own.
And that's a transition too. I mean, Sam's doing the online school this year. So, it's a transition too of making sure that you're still his teacher in some ways, but in a lot of ways, he needs that other teacher. So in the online school that he's doing, is he doing synchronous and asynchronous learning? Is he have class time with his teacher and with the rest of his class?
He actually goes to school about 2 times a week. So he's in the school, and then for the rest of the time,
school. So he's got time with it. Okay, got it.
And that has, when they started that back and he joined, that helped a lot for him, because I think it feeds him to have somebody else physically there to encourage him, instead of, because I think with the computer, what he could do is kind of like, you can turn off your video and your mic, and he could just, not.
We don't allow that in our school.
Yeah. So, so that's, so that's been better. And so I just growing pains.
I understand, Mama.
For me too.
I do. They are for you. They're usually more for us.
Flashes.
Oh my gosh.
So, those kind of things. It's like, okay, now I'm starting to really feel old, and you're making me feel old, and I don't appreciate it.
I totally get it.
But yeah, so everything's okay. And then the preteen, she's a girl, so she might as well be a teen, even though she's 12. But she's sweet, and she's doing really good, though.
I'm trying to. There we go. There were a couple of people unmuted. There we go.
Oh, I'm sorry, but
no, you're good.
It's just she's kind of like, she's just, again, she's more like him, starting to be, with wanting a lot of independence.
Well, she's got hormones going, and she started her period.
She does. She has all that too. So, but anyway, I think that's just the struggle right now is the.
So again, I'm going to recommend that you sit back and you pray and meditate about what your kids need specifically.
Yeah, and I have done that, but I think I know she wants more connection, and I don't mean with me, but I meant with something else higher, and
something social.
I think I need to work with her on that, even if I'm not the best mentor, just trying to.
That teen meditation, I think, would be good for her too.
Yeah. And
there's another one that he has that's for younger kids called The Place Where Thoughts Become Things.
Mm-hmm.
That's on Dr. Joe's website that we use. That's good. I think it's about teaching mindfulness. I think if anything right now, with the way the world is, we need to teach our children to dial into themselves and to have mindfulness, because having a mindfulness practice is imperative walking forward.
Yeah.
There are things that as a culture we could ignore before, even though we shouldn't have. And I think where the world is so mixed up, the only place we should be getting our answers is from there, not from YouTube, not from we shouldn't be getting our answers from Facebook and all of those other places. We need to be getting our answers from that source connection. So we have to teach them if we're not teaching them already.
Yeah. And I think that's what she's feeling right now, is a little bit more of a floundering feel, because she is 12 and she's wanting to discover her own strengths and abilities, but not sure how to get there. And she's not able to have a lot of mentors in her life, but
Sure.
So,
but the 6th grade curriculum is also really good for that. So if you're using 6th grade Waldorf, then the pieces that are part of 6th grade are really good for meeting the 12-year-old where they are. That is a natural place for the 12-year-old to be.
And she seems to enjoy that pretty good. So curriculum wise, we've been doing okay. She does want to fly through stuff, and I have to be like, no, we're going to sit down and talk about it. She's like, but once we do, it works well. So anyway, but I don't want to take any more time, because but thank
Hopefully
you. And
helped.
I loved your head wraps.
Oh, thank you.
They're always so pretty. So
thank you.
Anyway, I know they're special for you, but thank you, and I hope everybody else has a good New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year Day to you, Heather. All right. So let's see. I think we've got everybody. Jessica had some questions. Jessica, do you want to talk about them now? I think she was the last one.
Hi, Melissa.
How are you doing?
I am doing well-ish. I am I'm in a place where, so I was homeschooling with you like years ago, and
I remember.
yeah, and so I moved to another state, and so that I could work more and the boys could go to a school that I thought was a nice school. It was a charter school, and it was a little bit different, more emotional intelligence and things like that. But of course, as you know, everything went online. And so my 12-year-old now, Ethan, he went from being, we were doing third grade when we lived in Wyoming. And then I realized he was going to be getting into fifth grade, which was mainstream wise, like that would be like the grade that he would have gone into. But because we were doing things a little differently, I was in third grade. So I tried to mix a little bit of third and fourth grade, but I missed a lot of things. And he started fifth grade in school 2 years ago.
So wait, how old is he? How old is Ethan?
He is 12 years and 10 months today.
So he's almost 13.
Yes.
So he should be in seventh grade.
Right. So now
he's in seventh grade.
Now he is in seventh grade. But when we moved here to Oregon, he was starting in fifth grade. And I guess what I'm telling you is that I sort of botched third and fourth a little bit.
I wouldn't worry about it. Just hop into where you are.
So now he is, he went through fifth grade. It was a little bit difficult. He went through most of sixth grade, but then they went online and everything's still online. He's having a very hard time wanting to, like, having any motivation whatsoever. And I feel like he's not being met at all where he actually is. And
so are you bringing them back to homeschool them?
I want to
have you
start
considered our
homeschooling.
school? Have you considered Seasons of Seven virtual school?
I haven't a lot because I'm not in a financial place to add anything to my plate right now.
Okay, so if you're going to bring them home, then now's a good time. It's the middle of the school year.
Yeah. And we're like, Ethan's in a place where there's a very good chance. If I kept him in seventh grade right now, he would fail anyway. So I'm really wanting to bring him back into homeschool. I technically probably couldn't homeschool my 8-year-old, who's, because of his dad, is not okay with it. I can fill in a lot of things, but I'm not going to be able to just say, okay, you're done with online school right now. I guess I'm wondering, because we're in the middle of the year, where would be best to focus my efforts? Like,
with your oldest, the best place to focus your efforts is to getting him whole again. He's failing for a reason. He's not fulfilled. So bring him home. Read 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Read Journey to the Center of the Earth. Do things together. Reignite his passion for learning. What does he love to do? Spend some time reigniting that, and then you can bring lessons back.
Okay.
But you need to decode like the space of like him not wanting to learn. He's lost his love for that, and rightfully so. Again, there are so many issues with teenagers, and all children are struggling right now. The children are the colossal casual damage with this. And so the best thing you can do is really bring him close to your bosom again and find out what he needs. Like, spend some time in prayer and meditation. What does he need?
Yeah.
What does he need from you right now? How does he need you to show up?
Okay. That's good. That takes some pressure off too.
And then, you know, if you want to start coming to office hours, come to office hours. You're a lifetime member, come to office hours. They happen
Yeah.
4 times a month.
Okay.
It'll help keep you going.
I work in an office, like I mean a clinic. I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner, and I work in an office Tuesdays and Fridays, pretty much 9 to 5. And I've been bringing them with me, and they've been doing their school online. But do you have any
Tuesdays and Fridays are the
suggestions?
days that you work. So I would just do school on those other days.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for your 7th grader, if you're bringing them to work, then, you know, what things does he like to do that he could do to keep himself busy? Because my guess is he's bored to tears and he's just over it.
Mm-hmm.
He's just over it. I mean, that's what I'm hearing from so many families that went from school to online schooling. Not in our school. I mean, our school, there's no, they're engaged constantly with the teacher, with the other classmates and all of that. But that's what I'm hearing from people whose kids have been doing the online school. The kids are over it. They're over this.
Yeah.
They'd like to move on from this. They've learned some things, but they've learned a lot about how adults in their lives fail them. So how can we help them not feel like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what does he love to do? That's what I would dial into.
Okay. It's been hard, like trying to limit him on screen time because he's been getting so much, and he's got such a big interest now in video games, although I still limit it, but it
is what it is. You know what? Like, he's a teenage boy. And so go, all right, well, what are you playing? Pay attention to what they're playing. There are things that are never going to be played in my house. Not even by my husband.
I mean, it's just Minecraft.
So, okay.
Animal Crossing. It's pretty tame.
Yeah, Animal Crossing. My kids the other day, they're like, oh, it's supposed to snow in Animal Crossing today. I'm like, and? Like, we live in Arizona. Like, why does that please you? So, you know, I think it's about like balancing it. So what do you do as a family to balance that? Do you spend enough time outside? Do you go and, you know, explore nature? Do you, outside of that gaming thing, do you discover other things as a family? We discovered a show called Cities of the Underworld the other day that I had known about, and Sam's all of a sudden like, oh, what? The show exists? And it's really cool. And it's all about things that he didn't know about places, and he loves that kind of thing. So find things that you can enjoy together as a family. So that when there is media time, it's a breath out for them. It's not a taking up space. What other things does he like?
Would you also say then that means I'm taking him out of school?
You're a 7th grader? Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Sounds like if he's gonna fail anyways, and you don't have any objection from his birth father, then it's all on you. But I mean, I wouldn't keep my child in a situation where they were failing.
Okay.
I would consider highly now what you're going to do for the fall. If that means you got to take on an extra day of work so you can afford seasons of 7, I would absolutely do it. I would, because Mr. Donovan is a 7th grade teacher right now, so your son will be in 8th grade in the fall. This is a good teacher.
Okay.
I would consider that, or dive into homeschooling him fully yourself.
Yeah.
You can do that on 3 days a week. I only homeschool 3 days a week.
Yeah. Okay.
There's so
And we'll
many things that you
digest all
could
of
do,
this.
but I would definitely spend time in prayer and meditation first.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, let's see. Julie, did we get your, Julianne, sorry. Did we get you answered? Where did she go? Oh, there you are. How are you doing, dear?
Hi.
Hi.
You know, there's a lot of pieces, and I talked with oh my gosh, my brain's not reading, with
Lucia.
Lucia,
Yeah.
Lucia,
Mhm.
Lucia, yeah. So basically we just have a whole bunch of overwhelm going on at our house right now because we normally kind of homeschool. We use our homeschool curriculum, but we also are loosely connected with the local charter Waldorf school here. And
Mhm.
so with all the online schooling, everything's just upside down. We had a baby in September. I've got 3 school-age children. My middle child is
Uh-oh, I'm losing you. I
uh-oh.
lost you. That's okay. Now you're back.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Oh,
Nope, I thought it was.
okay. Yeah. So it's just kind of
Hey, you're breaking up. Why don't you turn off your camera and see if that helps? Uh-oh.
okay. Is that better?
That's a little bit better. Sometimes it helps if you turn off your camera.
Okay,
It'll
we'll do
boost your
that.
signal a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's try again. So lots of overwhelm. You just had a baby. Congratulations. I hope you're enjoying your baby moon. Take a deep breath. What do your children
Yeah.
need from you right now?
Yeah. Well, and baby is now about 3 months old, so we're just coming up for air, you know.
Mhm.
We're at that point, and the house is kind of a wreck at the moment. So I think that's the piece I need to start with, is just kind of getting the chores and everything going properly. We're
Make them
also
help you.
yeah.
Make them help you.
Oh, for sure. And then we're also going to be moving this summer. So on top of just getting the house clean, it's going through everything and getting the house
Sure.
ready to sell.
But thankfully you have some time for that. So you don't have
Yeah.
to do that right away. You can, I would lay out your list of what has to happen and make order to it so that it's not like, oh no, it has to all happen right now. No, it doesn't. Right now, your house just needs to be clean enough for you to get back into lessons. And then you
Yeah.
can tackle one thing a month. Tackle one room a month and you'll be ready to put your house up for sale.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, I am planning probably to come to at least one of the office hours this next month, though, because the other piece I need help with, and I feel like I probably need to get the house kind of under control first, but is just kind of figuring out how to help my kids as I'm teaching multiple kids, because I find we tend to get through one really good lesson in a day, and then all the other ones kind of fall to the side. And my almost 11-year-old, my 5th grader, is pretty good at doing things independently. So I'm realizing I need to do that more with him, where I give him his own reading assignment and then I come and check in. My 9-year-old is a butterfly, and it's very hard to get her to do anything independently. Because she's very sanguine, melancholic sanguine, and definitely ADD. So there's
Have you done the mom lesson on teaching several children?
I have. I need to go back and review it.
I would.
I think there's just a few kind of fine tuning issues that I'm having right now, because generally I'll send whichever kid's not having a lesson out of the older ones to go play with the 5-year-old or the baby. And then either I'm taking too long teaching a lesson, or like our transition times, we have a lot of issues with transitions where they just take too long. And I know some of it is related to our weird rhythm this year, and having a baby, you know, so it's like everything kind of flux.
Well, in transition times, when I see transition times as an issue in my home, it's when I'm not on it. Like if I'm like, okay, it's time for us to transition to go to this other thing, but I get on my phone, or I go get myself a snack, or transitions are on me.
Mm-hmm.
So think about how transitions, how can you show up better to transitions? There's especially right now with a baby in diapers, that transition's going to be like, okay, I got to go change a diaper while or I've got to sit down and feed a baby. So you've got to really I would really think about those transition times and how you can make them go more smoothly and how you can get your older children to sort of help out with that.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. But look at your weak spots. If your weak spots are transitions, then think about what can I do to make these transitions better.
Uh-huh.
Plan.
Yep. And that's something that it's been just crazy this year. So this week is my week to do that for the next semester.
Good.
Yep. Thank you.
Good. All right. Very good. Okay, everybody. Cannot believe we've been here for 2.5 hours. I said I wasn't going to do that. Craziness. It's okay. It's all good. Is everybody good? I think everybody's good. I don't think I have anything else in the chat. Thank you, my coaches, for being here. We appreciate you. We appreciate everybody for joining us today. Again, if you are a TFW member, get your butt to office hours. If you've got struggles, challenges, and you need some help, don't wait. Come to office hours. They happen 4 times a month. And we're here for you. That's what we want you to feel strong and confident in your journey. So we'll have the replay up for this in a bit. If you guys need anything, you know where to find us. Thank you again for coming today, and we'll see you guys later.